What is going on, everybody? Welcome, probably for the first time for some of you, to Wrestling with Finance. And what a week I decided to move this on to its own channel. Yes, Wrestling Finance used to be on the Rant and Review, my other channel, but I've now moved it on to its own thing. It is this channel about personal finance and the stock market. And I picked this week to do this when we have the GameStop stock cheat code going on. Left, right, up, down, BA, right? I think that's what it is. Of course, since this is probably your first time looking at this video or being on this channel, I definitely appreciate it if you use the cheat code for YouTube by hitting the like button, the subscribe button, and the notification bell. If you do those things in order, YouTube's algorithm will be unlocked and it will show this video to other people who either have an interest in wrestling and finance or finance and wrestling. This video is about to explain what the heck happened over this past week for a lot of people who may be a little confused by even watching some of the other videos that try to explain it as to what's going on. I'll try to explain it as best as I can, and we're going to use some very simplistic examples here. So essentially what's going on is that there's a Reddit page called WallStreetBets, and on WallStreetBets, there was a guy who was on there and he was very bullish, which means he's very gung-ho, about this GameStop stock. Try saying that 5 times real fast. GME, as I'm going to refer to it as. GameStop is a brick and mortar video game retail store. It's kind of a bit of a dinosaur in this day and age, but they've been holding on. They've had to close some physical stores. They've gotten some new leadership and done some new things that might lead it in the right direction. Somebody believed in this very much. And then over the course of time, people started noticing that this stock for GameStop was shorted. There were more shorted stocks than there were actually stocks available, which means people saw an opportunity. Now, what that opportunity was for them to go in and say, okay, well, we're going to take advantage of these shorts and do something called a short squeeze. Now, how a short works, let's explain that first. Say me, I'm just Joe Blow, and I'm an investor, and typically this in the past has been hedge fund people, but say it's you, and then Randy Orton has like 20 shares of GameStop, and you're like, that's valued at $10. That's a little bit overvalued. So I want to borrow it from Randy Orton at that price. And then Randy Orton goes, yeah, sure, brother. And I get the stock I give that money to Randy Orton to pay for the stock. I get the stock and then I sell the stock at that $10. Now, the terms on the time frame in which I borrowed that stock is about 30 days. So say 30 days later, I have to go back. I've got to give it back to Randy, but now the price is lower. So now I go and buy the stock at $5 and give it back to Randy Orton at that lower price. I give him the stock back. So I've made the difference between what I bought it for from Randy and then what I bought it for 30 days later because, again, my impression was that the stock was going to go down. That is essentially what's called shorting a stock. And what a short squeeze is when people realize this is going on and they squeeze the people that are trying to do this. Again, for those of you who don't know me, I am not a trader, I'm an investor, which are two different things. I invest in companies. I don't sit and try to do day trades or shorts or anything like that. So this is not my cup of tea, but I am aware of what it is and I've never been a fan of it. Mainly because most of the people that got away with doing this and made a lot of money with it were the hedge fund managers. Now, if you remember in the past, there have been financial crises where these people have gotten everybody into trouble, not just their money, but the portfolios of a lot of other people, crashed the market and everything else, and they got bailouts. Well, a lot of people are very upset about that, rightfully so. So what these Reddit users decided to do was to do their own short squeeze on these guys in the hedge funds who were doing shorts for GameStop. So in that scenario, I would go get, one of them, because I wouldn't do this, but one of them would go and get, say, Randy Orton, let me get that GameStop stock, yes, GME, and it's $10, all right? And I get it, I do the same thing, and I sell it for $10, and then when it's 30 days later, when it's time to give it back to Randy, I go and buy it. But instead of it now being down at $5, it's actually up now to $400. And the problem with that for the hedge fund guys is that instead of making the difference in profit, they actually have to come up with the $400 per share to give back to Randy Orton, which actually has wound up bankrupting a couple of these hedge funds. Some of these hedge funds are going out of business. They basically went back and they went, "Hey, Randy, I don't have the money," and they got RKO'd. A lot of them went bankrupt. Or one of them in particular, a major one went bankrupt and had to get bailed out by another hedge fund. So that's what happens when you don't pay your bills and you try to do shorts, which is, again, why I say you always have to be very, very careful. These are very risky investment strategies that these people are using here. Now, here's where things get really interesting, and I'm going to do another video about this later on. But Robinhood, the other day, on Thursday, decided that not just Robinhood and a bunch of other different brokerage apps, decided that they were going to limit or actually stop people from being able to buy GameStop and AMC and BlackBerry and a bunch of these other stocks that this Reddit group had pretty much targeted to do these short squeezes on. That brings up a whole lot of questions and a whole lot of problems. On one side, yeah, it can be good because there are definitely going to be people out here who don't know what they're doing, who are going to try to get in on this and do something crazy and wind up blowing and losing all their money and being in a lot of trouble, which, as we've covered on Wrestling with Finance before, can be fatally bad. But I think what more people are upset about now is not so much the benefit of it, but the big problem with them doing that is that they unilaterally decided that they were not going to allow you to buy stocks. They were going to tell you what stocks you could or cannot buy, which for an app like Robinhood, it's kind of bad because they were supposed to be against that. They were supposed to be for the average person, what they call retail investors, that's me and you, to be able to buy and trade stocks as we saw fit. And then they said we couldn't. Now, there's a lot of speculation as to why that happened. Again, that'll be a separate video that I'm going to do. I'm just trying to explain the situation right now, but there's a lot more to uncover there. So a bunch of these Reddit users made a whole bunch of money because it became this kind of circle where this was going on over here, and in order for them to be able to get their money back, they had to buy more stock at a higher price and sell it back, and then it just kept going because the people they were selling it back to could then charge a higher price for it. So it just was this loop that kept going until, of course, a lot of the brokerage apps prevented people from buying the stock, and then the price went down, but it has since gone back up because those brokerages have opened up again. There's a lot of reasons for that. But in light of that, I will say that I am no longer here on Wrestling with Finance until I hear more about what's going on. I will no longer be sharing and sponsoring Robinhood links on my videos. So, I mean, that's just a personal choice I'm making right now because it does seem pretty shady what's going on. We still don't know the whole story, but that's where that stands. As far as the stock market is concerned, it's been a little bit bad because the rest of the market has kind of gone down. The S&P 500 is down again on Friday. It was down on Wednesday. It did a little bit of a recovery on Thursday, but that can be problems for other people's, investments, people who are, in 401ks, or if they have ETFs that are basically based off of the S&P 500. If the S&P 500 is down, then their retirement investments are down. So that is another downside to this. Hopefully those retirement accounts will recover, but we don't know. This is unprecedented territory. Is this a bad or a good thing? Well, on the surface, I guess all things being equal, for me personally, I'm not a big fan of doing shorts. I'm not a big fan of gambling with the stock market. That's not what it's really meant for. It's really meant for companies to be able to allow people to invest in them so the companies can have liquidity so they can grow, and when they grow, they can give the profits back to their investors, and everybody can, this is basically how wealth is developed, is by investing things growing, and then compounding that investment. That's really what the purpose of the stock market was for. But a lot of people, because you have free trade, free unregulated trade, I should say, have been able to do things like shorts. Like I said, this has happened before. It was just the hedge fund guys that were doing it before, but now it's a bunch of Reddit users that are doing it, and they're actually screwing the hedge fund guys who are not very happy about that, which is the reason why a lot of people suspect that all of those brokerages shut down so that the price would go down and their hedge fund buddies can recover their money. Overall, I'm not a big fan. I don't do trading. I do investing. I don't do all these day trading and all puts and all of this stuff. I just don't do it. because again, I don't really feel that that's what you should be doing. As an investor, that's not what I'm doing. I'm investing long term. I'm not trying to do short, quick money, quick get rich quick things. But if you're a person who's out there who did it, congratulations to you. By all means, take a little bit of that power back. Get some of that money back that, pretty much most of us lost out on to these hedge fund guys before, when they've kind of scuttled the rest of our investments so they can make money and their clients can make more money. Well, now some of that money's come back to the people. That part about it is pretty cool. I'm not really big on the whole let's beat up on the rich people thing, because I have friends who are rich and some of them are nice people and a couple of them are not. But it's the same thing with everybody. There are a couple of people I know who are poor who are nice, and people who are poor who are not very nice. I do like the fact, though, that because the system has been gamed before, that these people on Reddit have found a way to game the system for themselves. So on that level, I do appreciate it. But again, I'm not really for gaming or for gambling in the stock market. It's just not my cup of tea. Of course, there's also the problem that, like I said before, there are going to be people who are going to get hurt. The real little guy in this, because I don't consider the Wall Street Bets people to be the little guy. They're smaller than the hedge fund guys, but the real little guy in this, and I know some people don't like to hear this, is the people who are going to get caught in this thing when this whole thing collapses, because it will, because we all know it's a bubble. But the people who don't know what they're doing, and they do something like, take out a mortgage on their house, or they empty out their savings account to try to get rich off of this thing, and then they get caught holding the bag, they're going to be in big problems. And when people lose a lot of money, and I know this personally in my own personal life, it can be fatal. So that's what I'm very concerned about with all of this. I mean, at the end of the day, yes, this is a great thing that they took on the greedy hedge fund people that nobody in the world likes except for them and their mothers. Maybe not even their mothers like them, I don't know. But it was all for making money. And everybody who wasn't in there and who's hopping onto the bandwagon are doing it because they want money. It's basically the same reason the hedge fund people did. It was for greed. They want money. The altruistic part about it, about taking down the corporate hedge fund evil guys, that's a secondary reason for this that a lot of people are kind of using as a shield. But honestly, a lot of people did this to get money. And again, I have nothing against that. I don't worry about what's in other people's bank accounts. I worry about what's in my bank account. So if they found a way to make money and it's legal, more power to them. It's been funny as hell to me. This has been a fascinating week. It's a fun week to do my first Wrestling with Finance video on the new channel. So if you guys have any questions about how this works, or anything like that, let me know. Now, I'm not giving financial advice in this video. I am not a financial advisor, so don't take anything I have and then act on it. You should do your own research as always. But if you are getting into this one, I should say this to some of my viewers: be very, very careful with what you're doing. If you don't fully understand what you're doing, not only just with this, but anytime you invest money in stocks, real estate, bonds, if you don't really understand how it works and what you're doing, I personally probably wouldn't do it. But you, of course, can do whatever you would like to do. Thank you guys for checking out this first edition of the solo Wrestling with Finance video. This will be up on both the new channel and my Rant and Review channel. So if you're interested in entertainment, you can go over to the Rant and Review and check that out there. And of course, you can subscribe to this channel. I'll be trying to do videos like these every weekend about finance. Most of them in the future are going to be about personal finance, and I am going to be doing another one later this weekend about Robinhood in particular, because like I said, that's a whole other can of worms that we need to open up. And so until next time, I'll see you guys for more news items here on Wrestling with Finance. Thanks for watching.